What is up, fight fans? It is Open Mat, another episode, and today we are discussing UFC 249 and UFC 250. There's so much to unpack. Our episode's delayed because Dave died, and plus there was a lot unfolding. So, welcome to the episode. Dave, how are you recovering from your 18-hour-long nap?
As best as I can. I must say, you guys look a lot better in real life than in the afterlife. Everybody's got skin falling off them and bones hanging out of their flesh and things like that. But, at the end of the day, it's good to come back to the land of the living. Let's just put it that way. It was a very strange 24 hours for me.
And it turned out it worked out better because some of the UFC 249 stuff unfolded. A lot of it unfolded, so I'm kind of happy we didn't kind of fragment it. Drake, how are you, my dude?
I am good, man. I was very busy covering all that stuff that was happening when we were going to do it. It happened like right as we were going to record and everything.
Yeah.
Was like, oh, shit, no, sorry. So, yeah, we're here now, though, and all taking it all in because we knew it was going to happen, right? So
yeah, it was coming. So do y'all want to tell them about the super secret episode we're going to work on getting?
Tease them a bit.
Let's just say that the intro music is we're gonna have to have some sort of copyright because we're gonna have to use "Face the Pain" at the very beginning of the episode. Man, there's gonna be pain inflicted on all three of us.
It should be.
Blaine's gonna have to have
spiciness.
Blaine, you're gonna have to have your friend's band do a cover of it.
I'll get my guitar. And I'll play the intro music before then, and then we won't have to worry about it. Okay, that's what I'll do. That works. Y'all think I'm kidding? That's what's gonna happen.
I believe you 100%.
Oh yeah, totally.
So normally I like to follow up episodes where we left off, and that's UFC 249. But there's just so much to unpack there. I don't want to forget about UFC 250's announcement. First, so what we're going to do is we're going to dive into UFC 250 first and talk about the main event or the event change. I don't know what's going on with that. So everyone was mad because Jose Aldo was getting a title shot at bantamweight against the champ Henry Cejudo. He came off of a loss. He got beat by Marlon Moraes, and they gave him a title shot anyway. It looks like it's becoming boxing with undeserved title shots, and I don't like it. So due to the coronavirus, it seems, a lot of Brazilians are being forced to pull out because we can't go to Brazil for UFC 250 because of a travel ban. Thus, Jose Aldo is out of the fight. In steps somebody who hasn't fought in a decade. Not quite a decade, but Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz, it seems like he's going to be the man to fight for the title next. I like the fight. I like it better than the Aldo fight. So I'm going to let Drake go ahead and go first so he can show everybody what he's got.
Okay, well, first of all, before we get really into it, let's just say, super excited to see this happen, right, as a Dominick Cruz stan that I am.
How big of a stan are you? Why don't you show everybody?
Nobody can see. We're not showing this episode. But,
yeah, that's right. He's got a goat Dominick Cruz shirt on. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, before we talk about how great it is and everything, it's hard for me, man, as much as I want to be so insanely excited, and when I was going to be so excited to hear, a Dominick Cruz fight announcement again, because you knew it was coming. He was ready to go for the first half of this year. I still can't get excited because most likely won't happen for one reason or another. At this point, I hate to admit it, but you never know with him when it comes to injuries and stuff. And then on top of that, what's happening in the world today? I don't know why they're even bothering, still kind of trying. I know that the announcement was made like right before 249 happened or whatever. But as for, take that out of it. And then still considering what's happening in the world today, unpopular opinion, but I think that, totally rightfully deserved for Dominick Cruz. The hottest take you can get there. The man should have gotten an immediate rematch, after his Cody Garbrandt loss, but he didn't. Maybe had some injuries to deal with there in that case, too, smaller ones, but didn't get it, was out, had more injuries and all that, pretty much a repeat of what he went through earlier in his career. And you look at the travel restrictions that some people are facing, like Peter Yan, Marlon Moraes, people and Aljamain Sterling is still healing up from his injury and he's not going to agree to a fight without going to a fight camp. I think he said that also because Sarah Longo is shut down at the moment. Corey Sandhagen would be the only other person, but I mean, look at, man, Dominick Cruz, the greatest of all time at bantamweight. I don't think you can really argue it. One of the greatest fighters of all time. He's done this before. We've seen him do that before. Not that should get him a title shot, but I mean, if anybody deserved an immediate rematch, instant title shot, after suffering their first real, career loss. I mean, he avenged his favorite one. I mean, come on, this is one of those guys. Sure, it's been a while, but circumstantially, right now, he deserves this. I mean, it's fair. It's not egregious. The Aldo getting a title shot is way worse than Dominick Cruz getting a title shot because, first of all, he lost his fight to get down, in this division. I think it's pretty cut and dry when you lay everything out. And matchup-wise, stylistically, who doesn't want to see Dominick Cruz versus Henry Cejudo? As much as people dislike Henry Cejudo for how cringy and all the stuff he's been doing, since becoming champion, the guy is amazing. He's an amazing fighter. Dominick Cruz, one of the best ever. Henry Cejudo on his way to being, he's already getting up there. You could argue he's top 20 or so at this point, double champ of 2 divisions. That's a fun matchup, no matter which way you cut it. All right. I mean, you can't really go wrong with many in bantamweight at the moment, but I mean, this is one of those kind of era versus era things. And if Dominick Cruz can pull off yet another comeback and reclaim the title, which, I predict is a possibility, a little biased, but still, it's possible. Could you imagine?
I'll take an unbiased approach towards it as well. And I'll say, I mean, I think it's distinctly possible. This is a matchup, in my opinion, when you look at it and scratch the surface by the view of the naked eye, this is a matchup that can cause Henry Cejudo a little bit of difficulty. You're talking about a guy with unorthodox movement. We all know just how unorthodox of a style of fighter that Dominick Cruz is. The number that I'm looking at right here, though, 41, and 41 months is the exact number of months from if this fight were to, and obviously we all sincerely doubt that it will, take place in May. It would have been 41 months since the Garbrandt loss. So at the end of the day, I will take a stance to where I'm kind of in the middle here. I do take the side with Blaine where he says I like this fight more than I like the Aldo fight. I don't dislike the Aldo fight, but it's very boxing-esque when you talk about giving a guy a fight off a loss. And yeah, do we think that Aldo probably beat Moraes? Yes, but is it as ceremoniously agreed upon as everyone thinks it is? That was a close fight. It was a really close fight, in my opinion. This fight has layers to it, and to take another bite out of it, I think whether you do have a bias with it, our good friend Drake, or not, there is a realistic possibility Cruz could reclaim this title from a stylistic matchup standpoint here. I think this fight is fascinating, and I hope we get to see it by the end of the year. Where I will take a step back, though, is would I have liked to see maybe Cruz get a number 1 contender type of fight first? Yes. Am I going to complain about it, though, just based off the stylistic matchup here? No, I'm probably not going to do so.
So Dominick Cruz has been trying to get a number 1 contender fight. If you remember, he was linked to Corey Sandhagen, and I think it was Sterling, wasn't he? He was linked to another fight.
Who's Corey Sandhagen?
Yeah, Corey
Sandhagen?
Sandhagen, same thing. I'm from
it
the
sounds
South.
like Haagen-Dazs backwards, bro.
Haagen-Dazs. Anyways, he's getting the Corey fight. I'm just calling him Corey from now on since you want to be smart, Alex. He's been trying to get it now with the travel stuff. Obviously, the man who deserves a title shot is Petr Yan. Petr Yan's the next bantamweight champion. I don't think there's anybody that's going to beat him for a long time. He and Dominick Cruz is a fantastic fight in itself. Where I look at Henry Cejudo, I see his gas tank is average. Okay, he benefited from exposing what we all knew about Marlon Moraes, and that is that Moraes has not been tested in deep waters, and he was getting pieced up on the feet. I think with somebody who can pace himself like Dominick Cruz, that can be a really, really tough fight for Henry Cejudo. Plus, I just don't like Henry Cejudo. I'm be honest with you. I don't like him at all. I don't think he beat Mighty Mouse. I don't think he should have gotten the TJ fight, but they gave it to him anyway. He's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, but good God, he's annoying. He is so annoying. I just want him to get beat. We see Colby Covington sticking to his guns. I don't think Henry Cejudo sticks to his guns. I think he pulls a Conor McGregor and becomes humble. But I do like this fight. I think Dominick Cruz, minus the ring rust, which obviously he doesn't have, he's shown that he doesn't have in the past. That said, Dominick Cruz also had a tune-up fight. Not really tune-up, but he had a contender fight before he fought TJ. Don't forget that he had to win, one or two of them.
Just one, the Mizugaki, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finished him in a minute.
Yeah, because he's Dominick Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cruz isn't a finisher like that, though. And
No.
let me parlay into a good point that you made. I'm just as high on Petr Yan as you. And I'm sure other people around this network, cough, Marcel Dorf, are as high on Petr Yan as well and always have been. I remember a lot of people had his debut against the Japanese fighter in Singapore. Why am I not remembering his name? Why am I not? He finished him in the second round and really dominated the whole time. I don't know why I'm not able to remember his name.
Is it Ishihara? Is it Ishihara?
Yeah, Tsuruto Ishihara.
there we go.
Yan is right in the mix of things, but I feel like we're omitting Aljo a little bit here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Aljo has to fight. He's not fighting. He hasn't fought since he beat, what's his name?
Munoz.
I was there, and he looked fantastic, but I mean, and Munoz was rising up at that point as well, coming off an absolutely bonkers win against Garbrandt. Sterling's got a factor in there, I think, somewhere. Is Sterling and Sandhagen, I should say, still on the dock if they're going to end up if they're going to end up opening up Serra-Longo? I mean, who knows? But I feel like he should be squarely in the mix of things as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I really do want to see Dominick Cruz get a third title. I think it would cement him as probably one of the top 5 greatest fighters of all time. The amount of adversity he's overcome with the injuries in his career, the people he's beat. If he beats a champ, Henry Cejudo, in addition to Mighty Mouse and TJ Dillashaw and all of the other people he's beat, the only 2 people missing is Petr Yan and Renan Barão. But, I mean, we've seen what happened Renan Barão post-USADA.
Yeah.
So my question is, say Dominick Cruz does beat Henry Cejudo, like we all hope he will. Like I hope he will. I'm not going to speak for you guys. Where does he sit among the not just greatest bantamweights, but the greatest fighter of all time? Because if he gets the belts the third time, he's undoubtedly the greatest bantamweight. Drake, I know what you're going to say. He's going to be the second best behind GSP, of course, right?
Well, GSP is the number one in my opinion. Yes, I do want to say though that I think, man, even if Dom can do that and pull it off and get the title again, I still feel like people aren't going to give him as much credit as maybe he deserves. I mean, you got to look at this adversity, man. It's really miraculous what he's been able to do. I mean, and I'm trying to say this from an unbiased perspective, but really, it's been such a great journey that I think that what he's had to go through has kind of bolstered his legacy. I mean, sure, if he didn't have to go through the injuries, he probably would have racked up, who knows how many title defenses. Very possible because, he was on track to do that. So, and having to overcome something that literally no one else has ever done. No one's done what he's done in MMA. So it's really incredible. If he can do it again, man, I already have him in my top 5 of the greatest of all time. If he can do that, I mean, maybe, go up to 3, of course. And then, who's to say he can't, defend it some more after that? Because beating Henry, the top guy right now, that would not be an easy feat. And, of course, Jan is in the mix. Sandhagen, bantamweight, arguably better than ever right now. So very interesting to see what would happen after that. But, yeah, you can't not put him just right up there into that mix afterward.
Dave, you look like you're deep in thought.
I'm deep in thought because I'm wondering how it's possible that some of us forget. Oh, dude, what's this guy's name? It's coming back to me. Schmones, Blondes. Do we forget that John Jones exists here, gentlemen? Like John
Jones.
Yes.
If we're talking about greatest of all time, I mean, the GSP is up there, and rightfully so. He's my number 2. It's John number 1 for me, and that's beside the point. Khabib rapidly making ground on there as well. However, if Cruz were to come into this conversation, he's going to have to beat Cejudo, and I think he's there, like in the top 5. Now, if you want to get into that top three range, It sounds unfair to say it just because of the bad luck that we all know that he's had. Think about the fights that he's had to pull out of in the past couple years that would have been treats for the fans. Jimmy Rivera, when he was on a tear, that would have been a phenomenal fight. If that was going to be at UFC 219, I would have loved to see those 2 guys. Who was he paired up against next? Was it Lineker?
Yeah.
So Cruz and Lineker, that would have been a phenomenal fight as well. At the end of the day, whether it is rightfully so or not, we have to look at these guys' resumes and assess them under the action that was taken, whether injury or not tooketh away from that. And unfortunately, for Dominick's case, to solidify consensusly in the top 5, for me, if he does beat Cejudo, he's right there. But to really cement himself there, like on a consensus basis, you gotta, I'm not saying stay active. I'm not saying, be Cowboy Cerrone, but I'm not saying, fight 6 times a year. But I am saying let's get a couple title defenses to notch, and then it's really unquestionable. You could even probably put him on Mount Rushmore, maybe even at that point.
All right, here's my thoughts. Here's my thoughts. John Jones, not a fan.
No. Okay, what's your point, dude?
He's beating up middleweights at this point. He's beating up middleweights.
What? Dominick Reyes couldn't make middleweight if he lost a leg. That dude is huge.
Anthony Smith, come on, bro.
Anthony Smith was never a middleweight. Dude, do you know how big that guy is? That dude is huge.
Okay.
He was literally a middleweight.
He should not be. I know that, but he should not be cut. Would it be healthy for him to cut the 185? Either of you guys want to say yes to that?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? 185? He should have never made that cut down to 185, and I think it hindered his performance in a lot of fights where he was lack thereof inside the octagon. For John, in his case, look at the murderer's row he ran through when he first grabbed the belt. There were I felt like maybe outside of Chael, just because they had to throw that together at the last minute, it's hard for me to think of right off the dome anyone that was lobbed to John, especially early on. And now with the revitalization of 205 pounds, it's only going to get tougher. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, Vitor did get a title shot after fighting at middleweight.
But this was TRT Vitor, though, still.
And he fought
stupidly. Have y'all seen the Instagram video of TRT tore back?
There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
He almost beat John. He was the closest. He had him in that armbar.
Yeah. Chael was seconds away from beating him, you guys. Don't forget.
And no, let's be real. Matt Hamill beat John Jones.
Yeah, that's
his elbow
fact.
with his head. So I'm gonna leave y'all with one more parting thought on this. Dominick Cruz wins, and then we get Dominick Cruz versus Jose Aldo, and who doesn't want that?
Oh boy, it's funny because that has always been like one of the super fights that I want. That's the WEC super fight. That's a dream come true, right? But because I am, as much as I'm advocating for this being a justifiable title shot for Cruz, I am such a purist at heart. I hated that Aldo was getting the title shot. I hated that Romero was getting the title shot. Most people coming off losses, not a fan of that, right? So the timing wouldn't be right for me personally if Cruz was to win and then they give it to Aldo still. That would kind of frustrate me. But then, once it happened, I'd be like, oh, yay, we're getting it.
But if guys coming off losses and getting title shots, what do you have to say for your GOAT there, my friend?
No, I just said I made the justification. Circumstantially, there's a case here. And, immediate rematch for a long-standing champion. There's cases for that, too. So I should have clarified with that. But if you're, let's say, like when Cody Garbrandt got his immediate title shot rematch against TJ Dillashaw, after no defenses, that kind of thing is just ridiculous.
I think a lot of that was spurred off of bad blood, though. I think we can all probably agree with that.
That doesn't make it okay.
I agree with you. You're not wrong at all. But I think that made it all the easier. And I mean, that headlined that card too. Pardon me if I'm mistaken, but they probably would have liked maybe a more solidified bout at the top of that card. Obviously, you had Cejudo and Johnson as a pretty solid 1-2 punch. Yeah. I mean, but who else was on that main card? Like Polyana Viana and J.J. Aldrich, wasn't that on that main card?
I think you're right. Good memory there.
How do you remember that fight? I forgot it.
Bro, that was in the period of time when I was like, I had you guys know me well enough to know that I'm so immersed in all sports, like literally all sports, and I am so obsessed with literally anything that has a scoreboard or a winner at the end of it and can be found in a top 10 highlight. But throughout that period of time, it was all MMA for me. It was all fighting. It was all fighting all the time. And so, like, my memory from that period, probably like 2017, 2018, is just insanely vivid.
So I remember I was in the mountains for UFC 217 or something like that, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That they rematched, and I was watching Vienna and Alders. I'm like, I am on vacation in the Smoky Mountains, and I'm watching these two fight. What is wrong?
I whiffed on that fight, too. I thought Viana was going to take her down and choke her out.
Yeah, that was an upset.
Yes. So let's move on to Fight Island and UFC 249's crazy saga. So Dana White is obviously a Mortal Kombat fan because, oh my gosh, he calls it Fight Island. That's amazing. It's the most amazing thing ever. So it looks like our events will still go on. Let's just hope nobody finds out. So first question on this whole topic. Do you guys like Fight Island? Is it a good idea to you guys to where Dana White can have his own private fighting place? Let's go with Drake first.
So it's, first of all, absolutely ridiculous. It's so crazy that that's a thing that's, being talked about and everything. And, I talked about this on a different podcast earlier in the week, but man, it just seems like asking for too much. If you get everybody on this island, you got to make sure that all like the right safety precautions are in place. Like everybody's got to get tested, right? The doctor's got to get tested. The doctor's got to get tested. Like there's just so much going on. Where are these fighters going to go after the events? If they need to be hospitalized or whatever, is there going to be a hospital on the island? Like all the proper, steps that need to be taken. Can they possibly be taken here? And then even if they can, there's still a risk, from people coming. You never know. So it just seems, I don't know. It seems like way too hard of a thing to pull off. And then no athletic commission, right? So will these all be exhibition bouts technically? Like there's just so many little factors to it from an official standpoint that really confuse me. And I don't get that. But as for it actually, if it can work, like back in the Bodog days where they're fighting on the beach, like crazy shit like that. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. But at the same time, can we just not risk it? Just give up already. You took the L on 249. Just wait it out, man. And I thought I heard that they were going to kind of wait for a little bit now. They haven't said anything about UFC Lincoln, which is supposed to happen next week, because this week is supposed to be, 249 week was supposed to be. So, but yeah, as for the Fight Island, I just don't understand. It seems like way too much to try and figure out. At least, when you look at everything from my standpoint, I don't know, maybe they need to do less because there is no commission. So they'll be like, man, who cares? We don't need to, properly take care of, even though Dana says we'll take care of them. But the hospitals and all that, fighters go to the hospital after every single event, at least one or two. Yeah, man. And then it's just such a big risk because if one person at your event, doesn't have to be a fighter, a staff member, anybody who's there, if they get the virus, it's game over. You want to take that risk? I don't know.
All right, so I went down a rabbit hole a while back. It wasn't recent, and I was curious of how to start a new country. And it was just I was 3 a.m. and I'm just I don't know how I
wonder.
I don't know how I got here, but I'm trying to figure out how to start my own country. So you either have to buy land from a country, which nobody's going to sell to you because that's their land. Or you have to find land that hasn't been acquired, which every piece of land on the planet is accounted for due to satellite technology and, colonialism and imperialism and, all the cool stuff. Or you can make your own island. But if you make your own island, guess what's going to happen? A big country with a big military is going to come and take it. So Dana White's probably buying a private island that is in the jurisdiction of some country or government. Whether it be state government or up in Canada. I don't see it being immune from law. So the athletic commission will be there. I'm 100% positive that there will be an athletic commission there, even though he says no. There's no way to get around it. So let's do Fight Island.
Can I get my output
Yes,
on this? Here
of course.
Here it is. All right. And as Drake Riggs, a fellow baby, I already know what his reaction is going to be. This is my take.
Yeah! Yeah!
yes. I'm so into it. I'm so down for it. Is it unsafe? Yes. I think I've said on this podcast already, though, before. I can't believe I just played The Who on this podcast.
What's wrong with The Who? There's nothing wrong with The Who.
Nothing wrong with it at all. Especially, D'Elia throws out, yeah! Like, just constantly to show a sign of approval, and that's exactly what I'm doing here. I am just so, and whether it is by selfish nature or not, I am just so ready for anything to get started back up. And I do take solace in the fact that what other people may not. And by that, today I was listening to ESPN Radio, and they have a game day with Taylor Twellman, Katie Nolan. Don't know who the other person is. And they asked Katie Nolan what she thought about Dana White, and she came off, and the very first thing she said was, I do not like the UFC. And she said, it's a little too brutal for me. However, I know that this is in Dana White's DNA. Okay, true. I know that this is what I expected from Dana White. Okay, true. But you can take appreciation in someone trying to reach the finish line no matter what way, shape, or how if, and this is a big if all safety precautions are taken responsibly, like the COVID-19 tests that they promise. If they test every person, and I'm talking all fighters, I only was under the impression they were going to test all fighters. Are they testing corners? Are they testing cut men? If there is such a level of responsibility taken to where that it is really hard for someone to point at, anything being done irresponsibly in this manner, why not play We Won't Get Fooled Again by The Who in celebration? Because that's exactly how I feel. And if it can get us Alistair Overeem and Walt Harris in a main event next month, cool. Like, awesome. Like, I'm in. I'm all the way in. There are many infrastructural problems that can come about it, and there are many obstacles that are surely in the way. However, if they can make this happen, and like I said earlier, the big if they can do this responsibly and wholesomely, I don't see a reason why I can't completely buy into it.
All right, so at this point, I would literally watch a main event between J.J. Aldridge and Pollyanna Vienna.
Aldridge versus Piana too.
I would watch that as a main event.
Yes.
Well, I'm
I
so
mean, we
starved.
got a UFC fight on a Cage Warriors card a couple of weeks ago
That was awesome.
between Fabinski and Stewart.
Yep.
Really,
awesome.
in any capacity.
Yeah. Well, I'll do that. I would watch them do it on Facebook Live. I would watch them. I'd watch a flip book of somebody fighting. That's a brand new fight right now. Okay. I'm so tired of watching old fights. It's ridiculous. I love Fight Island. I think it's an awesome idea, and not just for the pandemic, but for Dana White to have that at his disposal. How many times have we had issues with venues not being able to have fights or something changed?
Not
like
too many, honestly.
Well, John Jones almost ruined a card and had to move it to Las Vegas. Having a Fight Island would be great. It would be a hurdle that we wouldn't have to cross, and we would have more fights. And let's be honest here. Who's to say that they're not going to put a cage on the beach and have TJ Dillashaw out there with no shirt on, just shadow boxing? Because that's what he does. He does it in the airport. He'll do it at the beach, wherever.
No USADA on Fight Island.
That's a good. Hey, realistically though, where does the USADA jurisdiction end when it comes to sanctioned or unsanctioned things? Who's going to sanction Fight Island? The UFC clearly has to sanction Fight Island. Am I wrong?
Is the UFC a sanctioning body? Can they be?
Who else is going to be? The animals? The wildlife? Who is on Fight Island?
Again, any island that Dana White buys is going to be part of somebody's government. So let's say he buys it off the coast of Georgia in the Atlantic Ocean. That's going to be the Georgia State Athletic Commission. So whoever it belongs to. So if it's in Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabia Athletic Commission. All right, so let's get on to the meat and potatoes, guys. UFC 249. What is, what has been, and what was. Oh my gosh, are y'all okay? Y'all have headaches from this still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Davis, you missed a whole day of of news, and you come back and you're just like, what happened? Oh, it was amazing. So Khabib pulled out, or he didn't pull out. He was forced out because of a travel ban. The right call. He needs to be home with his family. So we got Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson. Stupid move on Justin Gaethje, or Tony Ferguson's part, I should say. In my opinion, obviously. Then, oh no, we need a new venue. Then the California governor calls Disney and says, "Hey, Mickey Mouse, I don't like this. They're fighting in California on an Indian reservation. I don't like it." So the CEO of Disney told Dana White to stand down. Have you ever seen that South Park episode where Mickey Mouse is beating the daylights out of somebody?
Yes.
Good. Go make me more money. That's what happened to Dana White. That's what happened to Dana White. So first off, let's go ahead and go with opening thoughts of UFC 249's Rollercoaster of Emotions. This is the first time we've had a roller coaster like this since UFC 223, which was, yeah. Anyways, Davison, give me some thoughts on UFC 249, man.
I'll go ahead and say just off that point alone, I think 223 supersedes this as far as like in terms of insane. I did an entire podcast by myself. One of my very first podcasts I ever did. I did an entire podcast by myself that was an hour and 10 minutes as the chronological timeline to that entire thing falling apart from the Dolly to Anthony Pettis being asked to step in.
Paul Felder.
And Paul Felder. And then, the wonderful, incredibly intelligent, with sarcasm dripping from my lips, New York State Athletic Commission coming in and saying, oh, these bogus rankings that don't matter at all just because he's not a part of it. Yeah, we're getting off track. But regardless, I'm not going to say that it was more of a roller coaster than what that week was, because it wasn't. However, it's substantially different and unique in its own ways. And especially in this scenario where obviously you don't have a hat to hang anywhere as far as any other look around or comparisons to make as far as other sports are concerned, because there are no other sports going on right now. And at the end of the day, again, we talk a lot about responsibility and plausibility here, and it's being taken, sure. This is one of the rare moments, though, you have to admit, in UFC history or, MMA history, where in the 25 plus now, 26, 27 almost years of existence, Dana has been forced to put his tail between his legs and actually stand down. He does not have control over something he controls. And it's because of the fact that, yes, this partnership is incredibly important to them. My question, though, which I don't think will ever be answered, is was it, and I know it said so in the New York Times report, which Dana already came out and called blatantly false, but was it the governor who really began this ripple effect, or was it that senator, the Senator Feinstein? That's the question for me of who took really the peak interest of trying to be, as we say, responsible and plausible for potentially saving people from becoming infected. That's kind of the takeaway now, because there really can't be another takeaway other than, are they going to try? You can't imagine they'll try to run Ferguson and Gaethje again, do you guys?
No, it's going to be
Jesus.
Tony.
No, there's no way. There's no way.
The sixth time.
It's going to be for a sixth time. Yes.
6 times a charm. Drake, give me your thoughts.
I mean, I think Davidson really summed up, all of that very well, so I don't have a whole bunch to add. I mean, in terms of which was crazier between 249 and 223, I mean, it's kind of hard not to go with 223 because we could see more of that unfold, like literally, visually, we could see
from
it all.
From the elevator on, dude, like them showing up and getting on the elevator, that was so nuts. That was so nuts.
Yeah, so I mean, and the fact that UFC 223 did end up happening, I think kind of makes it a little bit crazier too, because it went from a card with, I want to say, like 14 fights to 9, just like in all, and most of those got taken out by one person who wasn't involved with the event at all.
There were no fight past prelims. They started immediately on FS1.
So 223 was madness. I can't even imagine what it was like covering that week for those media members who did cover it. Like, geez. But yeah, 249, just this whole time, even from the day that they announced Khabib and Tony on, I want to say it was like December 6th or something, back 5 months ago, I was like, are you kidding me, man? Why are you announcing this almost half a year from now? Like, that is the stupidest thing ever. I can't get excited for this. Khabib's one of my favorite fighters ever. I love watching him fight. He's, phenomenal, obviously. But man, I just felt nothing, because it was like, how can you? Especially for this fight. Like, there's just no way to get excited for that if you're if you haven't been let down before, like we all have. So, yeah, I didn't really get too excited for, UFC 249 happening, even after they announced the revamped fight card, which honestly was very good. It was very stacked and everything. Arguably, the best one we would have gotten this year. I think the Brasilia was probably the best, like, on paper lineup, and, it ended up being pretty good too. But, we haven't got too many stack cards this year. So that was looking like it was probably going to be, one of them. I mean, they got a main event moved to it to be on the card and not even be the co-main event, which weird. That's, the lineup was weird, but very good card. Couldn't get excited for it though, because I just always, there's no certainty with anything right now. So
what they need to do is say, hey, here's I'll tell you what, we've got a fight card coming up. Masvidal and Usman are going to fight. This is going to be such an awesome fight. And then right after Masvidal and Usman fight, they're going to be like, surprise, Khabib and Tony are fighting. They're both
exactly.
Have them secretly weigh in, everything.
Tell us right then. Yeah.
Just tell us then. Yes, that would be the ultimate surprise. And they do it in December, on Christmas.
Imagine. Yeah.
On Christmas. Yes.
And only that fight, no undercard.
Yep.
Have them fight in Las Vegas at the Contender Series. Just get it done.
And then just trot them out there.
Just trot them out. Like, switch cameras. It's like one camera like Sugg did.
Right after, like, a defending LFA champ fights, like, a guy that is a Cage Warriors champ. You bring out Tony and Khabib. Oh, my God.
What? They should really do something like that, though, because sixth time. Think about this, okay? Obviously, Dana and UFC, they want to sell that. So they want the build up. We got it 5 months out, for this last time. They want build up so that it can sell well, get everyone excited for it and everything. Okay. You can't trust it anymore. If you couldn't before, you can't trust it anymore. So how about this? Conor probably wouldn't like it, but you have a Conor card, have him as the main event, and then, secretly the real main event is Khabib and Tony, because then you're getting as many eyes as you possibly can on this Conor card, and you want those on Khabib and Tony too.
Not a bad idea.
So
he almost lost me. He almost lost me until he said the eyes part, and I was like, that kind of makes sense.
That's a really good idea.
So, because if you just stack up another one, like let's say an Usman Masvidal card, that'll probably do well too, but it's not going to be the same level. And yeah, just if you want to maximize it without a real letdown or risk of an entire event or something, just say that it's going to reveal it. Give us an hour window after the main event of Conor versus anybody, right?
Hey, there's and be like, slim.
Guys, hey, we got a post slim. Then everyone is like, holy shit, you guys, you got to buy the pay-per-view now if you haven't. So, something like that, where you can get people ready for.
Our luck is going to be
out in that hour.
Yeah, our luck. Khabib walked into the cage and he trips over a wire, or somebody tackles him and hurts him severely.
They'll have to be walking in as they're walking out.
It'll have to be something. And then after that, the room goes dark. It turns purple, and you hear a bell. Dung! Dung! It's not Khabib versus Tony. It's Khabib and Tony versus The Undertaker. And they drop a cage. Hell in a Cell.
The Big Show comes out right behind him. It's time for a tag team.
Oh, my God.
Tony and Khabib all of a sudden become allies.
Best friends, having to fight off these evildoers.
No, you'd probably actually have to have Khabib and The Undertaker versus Tony and The Big Show. Yeah. Who, by the way, has a Netflix show now, I guess.
Apparently, and it's horrible.
Yeah, dude. No, and it's Blaine, dude, it's an actual comedy. It's it's fictitious. It's fictitious comedy with a laugh track behind it.
I hate professional wrestling. It's a sitcom.
Yeah.
Literally, it's like the Cosby Show, but just throw out all the Cosbys and add in Big Show and his family. It's
terrible.
Why would they do that?
All right, so let's get to the last question of the day. If Henry Cejudo was a brand of sweet tea, which brand of sweet tea would Henry Cejudo be? Did I catch that rhyme I got?
I don't know if I know three brands of sweet tea.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, well, I'll let y'all slide on this one. This is a tough one.
Do it instead as I don't know how you guys say it around your different areas of the world. I know there's a vast disagreement amongst Americans with this. Soda, pop, Coke, whatever you want to call it.
If Henry Cejudo was a brand of Coke because I'm from the South Louisiana and everything's a Coke, soda, pop, whatever.
What is it?
Everything, like literally everything that, hey, you want a Coke? Yeah, what kind? Sprite?
Sprite.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. They say, and they say pop up north, and they say soda here in Oklahoma.
They also say cold drink down here too. You want a cold drink?
Yeah,
and that means like a carbonated drink.
Like a beverage.
All right, so if Henry Cejudo was a carbonated beverage, what would he be?
Fanta orange.
I was gonna say probably like Pineapple Crush.
I got you all beat. Henry Cejudo is definitely Surge.
Or he's like cream soda, something just super unorthodox and strange. But you see your face though, like that face you just made, Blaine, is the same face that you probably make every time he opens his mouth. Like you're just like, okay.
All right, so I've got to tweet these out. Drake, your final answer is orange Fanta?
Yeah.
Dave?
I'm going to go with cream soda.
Cream soda. And I'm going with Surge. All right, everyone. Thank you for everyone who listened to this podcast episode. Sorry we're late on it, but we just had to let things unfold and let Dave come back from the dead. Make sure you follow Loudmouth MMA on Twitter so you can catch not only Open Mat, but all of the shows. And make sure to follow these two lovely gentlemen on Twitter as well. Dave, where can everybody find you?
Dave Bake, MMA, short, sweet, to the point.
And Drake Daddy.
At DrakeRiggs _ and check out my new Ian McCall feature that I just dropped on my MMA News. Really good stuff there.
And you can find me on Twitter, Blaine Henry TFL, and you can check out my website, fight-library.com. It's been an epic episode, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again. Hopefully we'll have some fights to talk about soon. Otherwise, we'll just keep up with the shenanigans. We're out for the time being, guys. Peace. Y'all take it easy.